Welcome to Never By the Book podcast. This is your host, Kelly Schols. At 24, I was dead broke and a full-blown alcoholic. By 40 years old, I was debt-free and a millionaire. Now I share my secrets of transformation to audiences around the world as a speaker, author, success mentor, and of course, your podcast host. Each Never By the Book podcast features a guest who has overcome obstacles to build a life of incredible fulfillment. The podcast world is amazing. A session with one guest leads to an introduction with another, then another. Our guest today is a perfect example of this. You may recall my podcast with Tab Pierce a couple months back. Tab introduced me to Anita Clinton, who then introduced me to today's dynamic podcast guest. Denisha Tate is an author, speaker, and consultant who guides her clients to live with intentionality and purpose. I can't wait for you to hear Denisha's story of transformation today. Spoiler alert, it's a bit of a roller coaster ride. We've titled today's session, Take a Walk and Life Can Change. You'll soon hear how. Hey Denisha, it's great to have you.
Thank you for having me, Kelly. This is so exciting.
Good, glad to have you here. Tough time getting through the introduction. I'm fighting some allergies today. Sorry about that, but we'll get through this. It's all about your story today.
Hey, and it's about life, right? Life happens.
Life happens. What are you going to do with it when it does happen, right?
That's the question.
That's the question. So yeah, speaking of life happening, I've been reading your book. I'm about halfway through it. Great read. Anybody?
Thank you.
1 Mile Below Bottom. Keeping Your Joy in Hell. So tell me how you came up with the name of that. I love the title, by the way. Tell me how you came up with that.
Thank you. Honestly, again, life happens. And sometimes you have to be able to articulate what is going on in a way that people won't totally think you've lost it, but they can get how intense life is. And so a couple of things with the title. I felt at that time that my life literally had dropped to the pits of hell. Like everything that could have gone wrong, it was. And so, yeah, I was in hell, but I also had joy. So keeping your joy in hell, I think I could teach somebody how to do that. So that was part of it for sure. But then 1 Mile Below Bottom, I began this fitness journey. That's what I'll call it. And I can remember the first day out at the track. And the trainer said, okay, this track 4 times a mile around is a mile. And guess what? You're going to be running it without a sweat. What? I'm standing here looking. I'm thinking, I'm not going to even make it down that one straight side without a sweat. And I'm talking about walking. You want me to run it 4 times without a sweat? Whatever. But as I started the journey, all I kept thinking was, you could do this. You can build up the intensity, the strength, the duration to get a mile and probably not die. So let's see if we can go for that. And so the measurement of 1 mile, that's kind of my internal reminder of if something's really hard, I'd be like, oh, here comes another mile. And then I get past it.
And then you get past it. And what do they say? How do you eat an elephant? 1 bite at a time?
Exactly. Right? And so my 1 bite is equivalent to a mile. And so now that's my measurement.
Okay. So what was it that brought you to that point of having the fear of running that 1 mile?
Absolutely. So in life, I believe that everyone has a definition of rock bottom. And that really is a personal definition. For one, it may be financial. For another, it may be the end of a relationship. Someone else, it may be the death of a loved one, but I can handle anything in life except for that. That thing is my rock bottom. And so I had a very clear definition. Without a job and without a plan. Only if those two were there. If I didn't have a job, but I was working a plan, I'm all right. I have confidence in myself. I'll make it happen. If I don't have a plan, but I have a job going on, I'll get to it. This is good.
Right.
I found myself jobless, planless, and truth be told, it was my fault. I hit my rock bottom intentionally. That's what it was.
Well, don't you think most people put themselves in the rock bottom?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But you don't mean to.
You don't mean
And
to, but it happens.
it happens.
Yeah.
And usually it's not until you're at that point of retrospect, if you're being honest, that you realize it was your fault.
Yeah.
It was. I mean, there may have been circumstances and things that kind of pushed you in one direction or another,
Hmm.
but there were choices and actions you did. You own that.
It's kind of funny because after talking to you the first time and now talking about it now, I I relate rock bottom to alcoholism and drugs because I'm a recovering alcoholic.
Mhm.
But I've never really thought about rock bottom as far as like work and life and that.
Yeah, and that's what it is. It's so personal.
Yeah.
And so I grew up as a child in a household where we were on public assistance.
Hmm.
And having the understanding of where your next is coming from
Right.
resonates with me as a child. It was part of this little discussion I would have with myself. Hey, when we grow up, now I was okay, but I really did talk to myself as a kid. I did. We had all these agreements. And I'd say, when we grow up, we're going to always know what's next
Hmm.
and we're going to be in control. Because as a child, I felt as if there was this helplessness because decisions were being made without my consent, but they totally impacted
Right.
me. And so that decision of never being there, having to get from someone else my financial sustainability, that
Uh-huh.
that just wasn't going to happen. And so I work hard, a bit of a workaholic, and I have a mean hustle. So between the two, I got it. I got it. So that's not going to ever happen to me.
So when you hit your rock bottom, you put yourself in your rock bottom. I mean, you had a great job. You
I
were very
did.
successful,
I was.
which, a lot of my guests, they go through different things and they go through their heartache or their rock bottom before they become successful. You were very successful and then went to rock bottom
And the
and
truth
then
of it,
came back out of it.
yeah. So what was interesting about success was I was successful if you looked at the finances. I
Hmm.
was successful if you looked at titles. I was even successful regarding impact. I was dying inside. I was living a horrible life as far as not taking care of myself, not being authentic with what I wanted,
Hmm.
not even thinking about my own joy. So, sure, it was successful, but it was no way to live. I wasn't living.
Right. So you were just trying to satisfy everybody else around you instead of yourself.
I just wanted to prove to everybody I was good enough. And that's what drove me. That workaholic has always been there. And I just needed everybody to know I was good enough because inside I didn't believe it. Not at all.
So when you hit your rock bottom, how did you pull out of that?
So, when I hit my rock bottom, you know, that was really the beginning.
Hmm.
I look back now and it was an amazing thing, but at the time it was horrible. I hit rock bottom. I'm like, this is not happening. And I did it and I have to fix it. All right, get it together. Let's just figure out what's next. We know how to do this. But as one would hope, you start working the plan. Because again,
Right.
I'm a planner, I know how to do it. But then life started to happen. And I'm talking about one horrible thing after another started happening to the point I looked up one day. I don't know how to plan for this. On my most strategic day, I don't know where to start. And by the way, rock bottom would look really good right about now. I'm raising my hand to go up to rock bottom because
Yeah.
I am so far down in the pit of this thing that I don't know what to do. That's what started the journey. Because at that point, I had to surrender and learn a valuable lesson that everything's not under my control.
Hmm.
I still have to remind myself because I honestly think I can make it all happen. I
Right.
am in control. I will plan for it. I have plan A, B, C, and I'm going to come to your side of the table, figure out what you're going to do, just in case you're not real sure. I got us both. I got it.
Uh-huh.
But when life hits you with something that you can't control for, there's a humbling reality that says, now what? And life looks you boldly in the face, eye to eye, squares up and says, your move. And that's where my life changed, because my move was, all right, sure, I'll figure out financially the working. I'll
Hmm.
figure out what to do with that. But I now have some medical things going on that I don't even know where to begin. I need help. I need you to know, Kelly, that whole help thing, like I
Yeah.
didn't do that. I didn't do that. Oh, no, no, not me. Like
Yeah.
I helped others, and you could call on me in the middle of the night. I'm getting up, Johnny on
Yep.
the spot. I am ready. But I don't need help. Why
Right.
would I need help? I've got this. And this is everything. I've got this. And that's when I learned that I don't have this. I don't have a medical diagnosis that says, yeah, it's cancer. What? And it's not just it's cancer, but at that point, cancer had killed my father,
Hmm.
cancer killed my grandmother, cancer killed both my grandfathers, and my
Wow.
aunt lost both her breasts.
Wow.
So guess what? Am I dying?
Right.
But I don't wanna. I don't want to die right now. I want to live.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest, before that, I don't know that I ever thought about living.
Right.
I was doing, but I had never paused to say, I want to live. That was the first time that I wanted it. And I was gonna do what it took to live and have purpose and have joy and make every day
Hmm.
count. And that, oh, that energy is better than any mountaintop experience you can have the day you decide you're going to live.
So you talk in your book about the first job you got after you rock bottom, and you
Yes,
talk about live love. Can you talk
absolutely.
can you talk about that?
Yes. So when I was at rock bottom, as I call it, walking around, kind of getting the lay of
Yeah.
the land, you are at rock bottom. It's dark down here. Let's just see what's going on and what we're going to do next. At that point, I, without even thinking, told someone I was going to be consulting. They said, "What are you doing?" I said, "Consulting. I'm going to consult full time." It sounded real good. So I was like, "Yeah, go with it. I'll figure it out later." And so I did. I had done some work for someone earlier, and they became my first consulting client. And so you never know. You never know what a yes today is going to open up for you tomorrow. So
Hmm.
be careful. Let some yeses happen. It may have been inconvenient. Oh my goodness, the timing was horrible. And again, I was miserable inside. But I
Yeah.
said yes. And that yes opened the door. So now I find myself in Scottsdale, Arizona. Okay, I'm a desert flower.
Hmm.
I loved being there. But it was while I was there, again, life is happening. I'm feeling alive like I had not
Right.
before because I was surviving. Before I was surviving my days, making it through meetings. Oh, I guess I'm up again tomorrow. That was just my
Right.
habit. That was my the way I did things. Now I'm back from the awakening. I've been informed that I have cancer and I now want to live. And I assessed my life and I had been being, not living, meaning
Hmm.
I had gaps of time. I'm talking about a week, 2 weeks. I could not tell you the detail of what I did. If
Yeah.
someone said, "So, what have you done the past couple of weeks?" I would pull out my day calendar and I would dictate to them the meetings and who I saw and
Hmm.
where I had to be. There's so much more to life than meetings.
Right.
I couldn't recall a wonderful meal. I
Wow.
didn't think about something that made me laugh.
Hmm.
Like those parts of my life, it's not that they weren't in there occasionally, but they
Right.
did not register as being important, or I wasn't even present for it, even when it did occur. That's when I realized I can't just be, I need to live.
Right.
And the second part of that is I don't want to tolerate my day anymore. I don't
Hmm.
want to just make it through. I want to love. I want to love moments.
Yeah.
I want to have those times where I'm like, yep, I'm going to remember this for forever. That's when the turnaround happened. So live love is my mantra. It is, and no, every moment isn't going to be perfect. Every day isn't going to be a parade, but you better believe there's going to be 5 minutes where you're
Hmm.
like, that was pretty darn cool.
Yeah.
And you find the next 5 minutes. I chase them. I chase my 5 minutes every chance I get.
So we titled the podcast "Going for a Walk Can Change Your Life." When did
So
that come into play?
while I was out, so my downward spiral didn't end with the cancer diagnosis. One would have thought that would have been enough to take the
Yeah.
wind out of your sails. It wasn't. So I was again accepting. Okay, I have a leukemia. Now let's see what's next. Um, I ended up misunderstanding a headache.
Hmm.
I called it a migraine. I have this severe migraine that lasts 7 days. You know, probably a
Oh
bit
yeah.
extreme, you know,
A little bit.
a little bit, maybe extreme. I know that now. But it passed. 7 days, it was gone. I'm fine. But then a month later, it happened again. And so in my mind, that's it, because I'm a planner. 7 days, buckle down, you can handle it, you'll be fine. And so there it is, I'm ready. Seven, yes. 6 days, one more seven, yes. Whoa, today is the eighth day. Eighth day is still happening. I go in and find out that it wasn't a migraine. The doctor said, "Yeah, you're in pain, but ma'am, it's not a migraine." Next thing I know, they're wheeling me into emergency brain surgery because I'm bleeding in two places. Okay, life's changing again. Downward
Yeah.
spiral, downward spiral. In my recovery, that quest for life went to a whole nother level because leukemia wasn't going to take me out. But really, now my brain's bleeding. Okay, let's figure this out. I took daily walks for a couple of reasons. One, it was part of my therapy to
Hmm.
get my balance and my gait back because I was determined to be independent. I didn't need anybody to be
Right.
babysitting me because that's my hardwire. I got
You got it. Yeah.
this. But in that, I'm taking daily walks through my neighborhood. Kelly, before this, I had never walked through my neighborhood. How crazy is that? Like, I got up in the morning, my car was in the garage. I
Right.
went downstairs, I got in my car, and I went off to work about my day. And I worked hard all day and usually to sundown. And then I got back in my car and I drove back and I went back in the garage. That was every day. I'm talking about 7 days a
Jeez.
week
Yeah.
in the garage, taking off, coming back. Now I'm going for daily walks and I learned where I live. I saw the most beautiful potted plants. I saw this dog that was an amazing dog that always greeted me at the gate on every walk. And it wasn't like a barking, "Who are you? Get away."
Right.
It was a, "Hey, good to see you again."
Yeah.
Tail wagging and everything. There's a grocery store and another store walking distance. I'm talking about 2 blocks from my house.
Yeah.
You don't have to get in the car. You're only going to go get some milk. You could carry that back. Now I'm learning that I live in a resource rich environment,
Hmm.
that I have amazing neighbors. Didn't know them
Right.
because they're out walking their dogs. Having a pet kind of forces you to do some things. I didn't have
Yeah.
time for all that. I didn't have
Yeah.
a pet. I didn't have to walk anybody.
Too busy
But
working, right?
too busy working. Who got time for a pet?
Yeah.
So now I am out. I see flowers. I see the grass grow because it's been mowed. And a week later, it's time for them to cut that grass again. Like I am getting a new
Yeah.
concept of time that I had never had.
New
That
concept of life.
I was finally living for the
Wow.
first time in maybe forever.
Hmm. Wow. And just going for a walk in your neighborhood.
And then life happened.
Yeah.
So the other amazing thing about going for these walks was I was empowered. So I
Hmm.
was no longer in therapy for this surgery that I had had. No, I was going for walks because I could,
Yeah.
because it was my right, because I liked going for walks. I didn't realize I actually enjoy walking.
Yeah.
Like now I have a hobby of walking, and then I was introduced to this concept of mindfulness. Go figure.
Yeah.
Because I'm walking and I'm actually present.
Hmm.
I'm hearing my breath. I'm watching my steps. I hear birds. I see squirrels. The skin is feeling the sun kiss. The wind is going past and I feel it. All of this was dead to me before this now.
Right.
I don't know how. I just sun's out, you put on glasses. Hey, you're too bright. Stop bothering me. Like I had a new alignment with my universe
Hmm.
that gave me such feeling of authority of my day, of decision making. So then when I went back and worked, it wasn't because someone else dictated what I was going
Right.
to do. It was because I decided today's contribution to the world would be X. Taking that
Yeah.
walk made it all happen for me.
So it gave you conscious clarity of what you wanted in life.
And what I wanted my legacy to be.
Yeah.
Now, I was faced with the possibility of there not being a tomorrow.
Right.
I was concerned for what I was going to leave behind whenever that was. Didn't want it to be right now, but
Right.
wanted to make sure I was intentional about what I was leaving behind.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, so many people get caught in rut. Well, I'd call it a rut,
Yeah,
and they're afraid to step out and try something different.
exactly.
And
And because you don't have a plan, you don't know
yeah,
how it works, but you can't stay still because
right.
technically you're moving backwards because the world is ever changing
Yeah.
and things are happening around you so fast that you will look up and say, where did the years go?
Yeah.
You don't want to do that because it's going to happen regardless, but you
Right.
want to at least have accomplished something when
Yeah.
you're questioning where the years went.
Yeah. For sure. Yeah. What do they say? Body in motion stays in motion.
Stays in motion, let me
Yeah.
tell you. So at least take some control of it and be intentional about where you're going with it.
Well, and here's the other thing is once you form a habit like that, I mean, I find myself a lot of times, I have a habit of getting my workout clothes on. And,
Yes.
I like to run. I actually moved to an area where I'm less than a quarter of a mile away from a beautiful trail right along the water. So I go run it, 3, 4, 5 days a week. There's a lot of times I'll get to the trail to start running. And I'm like, how'd I get here?
Yes.
Because it's such a habit of, and then once I'm there, it's like, okay,
Yeah. You don't even have to think about it.
yeah,
That's it. It becomes a part of who you are and what
yeah,
you do. It's like breathing.
yeah,
You just do it. And that's when it's so exciting because it has now fused onto your DNA and your hardwiring, and
right.
it's something positive.
It's
Because
positive. Yeah,
unfortunately, negative things can attach that way as
yeah,
well. And okay, I'll be transparent. You look up and say, "Oh, how did I get here?"
yeah, yeah,
You're looking over, going, "Oh wow, what did I do?" You don't want to do that.
yeah, for sure. So what's Denisha up to now? So
I
you
don't.
made it through your cancer, right?
Yes, yes, in
Cancer.
remission.
All
Yes,
right.
cancer free.
Yes.
Yes, and I realized that I did not want to be selfish
Hmm.
and have this awakening just impact me. And so, although it was tongue in cheek that day when I said, I'll be consulting, it, it really is what I do.
Yeah.
So, since 2017, I have been working with nonprofits and religious organizations on operational improvement. And it's not just how you operate, it is, are you the place where your people can show up and live love?
Live love.
Can they bring their best self, their most enthusiastic ideas? Can they, and are they in an environment that says, do it, let's go? because that is when you can take your business to the next level. When people aren't punching a clock, they're
Right.
running in because they woke up with the most amazing idea. And they're collaborating with coworkers who was like, I was up at 4 o'clock too. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness. You know, it is such an amazing experience, and especially for nonprofits. Because if you think about the role of a nonprofit,
Mhm.
when a person is in their highest point of need, you tend to turn to a nonprofit
Mhm.
or a religious organization.
Right.
And so they are my chosen clients because I want the planet, I'm talking about everybody in the world, to
Right.
have the best life possible. And I realize I can't do it by myself. So if I am helping every organization I work with improve, take it to the next level, that is an exponential reach I've just made into someone else having a better life. Having that experience that I wake up to every day.
Right. Wow. Good. So working with nonprofits, tell us about your book. How can people get a hold of your book?
Absolutely. My book is available on Amazon. Yes, yes,
Yes.
yes. And they can either download it, or if you're kind of like me where you want to turn the pages, you can purchase it. And also, my website, denishaleads.com, www.denishaleads.com. If you purchase it through my website, I will actually sign it for you. So, two parts to that.
Yes, you will.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I really think about that because I want people to know that it's possible. When I wrote my book, the number of people who came to me and said, you told my story. I didn't
Mhm.
think anybody else would understand. There
Yeah.
are parts in there that resonate with people in such an intimate, personal way that it had to be done. I didn't have a desire to be an author. I
Mhm.
just knew that this roller coaster that I was on, I had to tell people about it because you wouldn't believe it, would not
Right.
believe it.
Well, and once you've been through it, people helped you get through it. Now it's time to share and help others, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because there is life on the other side, and it is possible to find your joy and keep it before you get out of the hellish pit.
Yeah.
Because that may take a little longer. And that's the point. We don't always control the depths of that hellish experience, but we do control our reaction to it. And that's what I really hope the reader understands, how to take power and control your joy factor and feel that joy well up, because then you're stronger to climb out and beyond.
Wow. I was going to ask you, what's one thing you would tell my audience? And I think you just hit it on the head right there, right?
That's absolutely it. Absolutely. Don't
Yeah.
give up because you can make that climb.
Yeah. Wow. Well, thank you for being on. I truly appreciate it. And again, if anybody is interested, get Denisha's book, 1 Mile Below, Keeping Your Joy in Life.
Hey, you can do it. Absolutely.
So any parting shots you have for my audience, Denisha?
So I don't want to spoil it, but I do want to say something for any of the women that are listening. While I was going through all of this, I also did not have time for a personal relationship. Again, don't need anybody. I got this.
Mm-hmm.
Life has a funny way of telling you what you think you know about yourself. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, you have to figure it out, right?
You have to figure it out for sure.
Yeah. Well, thank you for being on, Denisha. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me, Kelly. You're
You bet.
awesome. This was wonderful.
Thank you for listening to Never Buy the Book. Share it with someone you care about, and don't forget to subscribe through your favorite podcast app so you'll never miss an episode. As we close today, remember, if you're not doing it by the book, it might just mean you're onto something great. Until next time, be great.